to have the president of Altium Leadership as the closing keynote of SciMax 2024. Spencer Horn is the president of Altium Leadership. The thing Spencer is most proud of is in his life is his family. He has been married for 38 years to the love of his life. She is partner and COO of Altium Leadership. Together they have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. He loves the outdoors. He loves to learn. He has a Master of Science in Economics and from the University of Utah, and he is a Certified Speaking Professional or CSP with the National Speakers Association, a designation which less than 17% of NSA speakers and 6% of all speakers worldwide achieve.
He is also an executive coach, a certified team performance coach, and a licensed behavior analyst. He has worked with major organizations like National Geographic, Radio City Music Production, and more. He developed IMAX Theater in partnership with several companies including National Geographic, televisions, and more where he managed complex projects. He has been speaking professionally for 15 years. His goal today is to help you increase your impact and relevance. You will learn to take greater responsibility for your careers and your success and also your satisfaction as a project management professional and in your personal life.
On the following session, we will learn how to taking 100% ownership for your current results, give you the power to improve future results, discover the conditions and behaviors that keep you stuck, identify and implement the steps to achieve the results you desire in your work and life. Spencer uses personal experiences and inspiring stories that help motivate you to take action. Hardships like many are experiencing right now can be a catalyst for positive change. You will learn about how to unleash the power to achieve desired change and goals. You will commit to take ownership for the outcomes in your life and decide if you want a job, a career, or calling in your chosen vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Spencer Horn.
Wow, have you had fun? Are your minds exploding? Are you ready to be done? No, you're still here. Wonderful. I am so happy to be back with you again this year. Some of you absolutely love what you do. You have a calling as a project manager. You can't wait to attack the day. Some of you, on the other hand, may feel like, I can't wait for the day to finish. I can't wait for the week to be over so I don't have to work anymore. You might have a job as a project manager. Did you know that, I didn't know this, that in Indonesia, there is 75% engagement in the workplace. That's you. That's really, really good. However, our theme is what? Aim higher. So 75% is not good enough. That means 25% of you are not engaged. So there's an opportunity to go to the next level. And my hope today is for you to take greater ownership for your work and your career and choose if you're going to have a job, a career, or a calling as a project manager. You know, if you're like me, you've probably worked with people that have been amazing. They love what they do, they have energy, they're excited, they care about the team, they care about the project, they bring that energy to work. Aren't they fun to work with? On the other hand, how many of you have worked with people that drove you crazy? They were frustrated all the time, they were blaming, they were negative, they gossiped. When you see them coming, you're just like, I don't have time for that, I need to leave. Or they call you on the phone and you swipe left. Do you have people like that in your life? It's my hope that when you go home, and some of you have 12-hour train rides in front of you here in Indonesia, don't you? You have long trips to go home to Jakarta, Bandung, wherever you're from. And Surabaya, you're lucky. You only have an hour and a half drive. But for those of you, as you go home, my hope is that you lift and elevate and help transmogrify the people in your life. You help them to aim higher by your example, by your level of ownership. This topic that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to give you 5 suggestions on how you can take greater ownership for your work as a project manager. The ownership factor is really about understanding that you have the ability to be fulfilled and happy in your career, regardless of the behaviors of others and despite external circumstances. Let me say that again. You have the ability and the power to be fulfilled in the work that you do, despite the negative behaviors of others and regardless of external circumstances. So let me give you an example. How many of you have ever had a customer that was upset at you? Maybe you had a boss that yelled at you. Doesn't matter. Or maybe President Probowo Subianto forgets to give you the free bread. Okay, I didn't know if that would be funny or not. But it doesn't matter. You have the choice to be excited and love what you do. However, there are three types of responsibility. Responsibility is closely tied to ownership. I'm going to share with you three types of responsibility. The first type of responsibility is really non-responsibility. Tidak bertanggung jawab. That means you are blaming, you're not taking accountability, you're not taking ownership for the work that you do. How many of you know people like that? Okay, there's another type of responsibility. It's called irresponsibility. Those people are irresponsible. They are a menace to society. They're careless, they're reckless, they're dangerous. Many people that have these two types of responsibilities in their life have a job mentality. Then we have responsibility. This is more about taking accountability for the work and being a professional that you are. That's what I call having a career. Taking ownership, I believe, is going one step further. Do you behave as the owner of your job? That's what I hope that you take away from this. However, I'm gonna share some statements with you, okay? I'm gonna read these statements, and I want you to tell me if you've ever said any of these statements before. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sudah tua susah berubah. You ever say that? I don't care what others think. Saya tidak peduli apa yang orang lain pikirkan. You ever say that? I need permission. Saya butuh izin. Some people are just born cynical and will never change. Beberapa orang memang terlahir sinis dan tidak akan pernah berubah. Did I say that right? I'm not good at math. Saya tidak pandai matematika. I'm just not a funny person. Saya memang bukan orang yang lucu. I'm scared to take a risk. Saya takut mengambil risiko. How about this one? We did that once and it didn't work. Kami sudah pernah melakukan itu sekali dan tidak berhasil. Okay, let me see. This is the way I am, just get over it. Saya memang seperti ini, terima saja. Ever had anybody, you ever say that? Wait. Couple more. It seems I have to do it myself if I want it done well. Kalau saya ingin sesuatu dilakukan dengan baik, saya harus melakukannya sendiri. Did I do okay? Oh boy. Okay, here's one that I'm told is a problem for Indonesians. If I only had a better boss. Seandainya saya punya atasan yang lebih baik. Maybe. I don't get paid enough to do that. Saya tidak dibayar cukup untuk melakukan itu. You get it. How many of you, if you're honest, have ever said any of these statements? Raise your hand if you've ever said any of these before. Thank you. So I have two. This is our invitation to take greater ownership for your calling as a project manager. Now, it's understandable that you would feel this way from time to time. I mean, the work you do is pretty amazing. As project managers, you have to balance some incredible skills. You have to manage people skills. You've learned about those from Luann, the power skills that you have to have. Really managing people, communication, leadership, strategic thinking, dealing with conflict, and you've heard about that through all of these 2 days. On the other hand, you also have to balance information and process and systems, and oh my goodness, you have to balance all the different constraints to deliver the value that Luann also talked about. But you still have to prioritize tasks. You have to manage and monitor milestones. You have to make sure that all the stakeholders are happy. You have to record all the actions taken and the lessons learned. What did I forget that you do as a project manager? Oh, learn how to use AI and partner with machines. You have to do that now. What else did I miss that you do as a project manager? Tell me, shout it out. Luann, what else did I miss? There's a lot to what being a project manager is, right? It's like you have to be superheroes in your career, but not these superheroes, these superheroes. These are Indonesian superheroes, right? That's you. That's what you do as a project manager. Now, the problem is balancing all of these different skills can sometimes be overwhelming. You know, I had an opportunity to talk with Jim Snyder, one of the original founders of PMI. He said most project managers don't struggle with the systems and the process and the information. They struggle more with the power skills, with the people skills. But managing both of those can be overwhelming. Some of you may be naturally good at the people skills and struggle at the information side. On the other hand, some of you may be good at the information and the process and struggle with the people skills. The problem is that when things get overwhelming, as you heard Miss Africa talk about today, she talks about how sometimes we get overwhelmed. It's really interesting because the brain starts to create patterns and habits of thought that can keep you stuck in your career as a project manager. And when that happens, it prevents you from having the ability to adapt to the way you need to have the success that you need to have. You see, the brain wants to rebel. It starts to delete, distort, and simplify information. Can I demonstrate to you how the brain deletes, distorts, and simplifies information? Okay, I need you to repeat after me. I need you to spell the word roast. Spell the word roast with me. R-O-A-S-T. Spell the word roast again. R-O-A-S-T. Again, spell it out loud. Do it again. Spell roast. Again. What do you put into a toaster? Toast. You put toast into a toaster? Stephen, did you get that? What did you say? You say bread? How many of you said toast? Raise your hand. So, only a few of you are being honest, right? In 10 seconds, I created a neural pathway that was completely useless, didn't I? I trained your brain to think of roast and tie that with toast, right? And it's just, so what happens under pressure, our brain does that. It completely starts to make up information, deletes other information that it thinks it's not important. Most of the time, the habits and patterns that we have are useful, but from time to time, those patterns can be useless. And the ownership factor is about rejecting patterns and habits of thought that keep us stuck and being able to choose new choices based on what is going to help you be successful and take greater ownership in your calling as a project manager. Now, taking ownership is difficult for the first reason I just shared with you, which is how our brains work. But there's another reason why it's difficult to take ownership. We live in a culture where placing blame is deeply rooted in the culture. If you want to know who's to blame for the things that are going on in your life, listen, just Google it. Who's to blame for cancer? Cigarette companies. Who's to blame for obesity? Fast food companies, right? Who's to blame for what's going on in Russia's mad at Ukraine and America. China's mad at America. America's mad at China. Everybody's blaming each other. Everybody's blaming everybody else, aren't they? We're not taking that responsibility. We live in a culture where that blame, however, can become an infectious disease, more infectious than the coronavirus. Did you believe that your attitudes are catching? Do you believe that? Do you believe that your good attitude and your negative attitude can infect everyone around you? So if I'm mean to my child and they go to school, they have a bad attitude, they talk to your child, and they come home with a bad attitude, they talk to you, did you know psychologists say that you and I infect people for good or bad up to 3 degrees? Over 1,000 people that we can infect. Did you know that? I'm going to show you a little video about how infectious we really are, okay? It's a Coke commercial, but you get the message, yes? Okay, so let's find out how infectious you are. I need you to partner with one other person. So look, you two single people here, I need you to partner up. Find one person. One of you be person A, and one of you be person B. Do that quickly. Partner up with one other person, A and B. You got to get close to each other. Got to get close. Quickly. Okay, I have a question for you. How many of you choose what other letter the other person should be? Raise your hand if you chose for the other person. Where else does that show up in your life? How many of you allowed people to choose for you? I'm just, no judgment, I'm just being curious here. Okay, here's what you're going to do. Person A, raise your hand. Person A, raise your hand. Come on, person A, where are you? Okay, here's the deal. Person A, this is your job. No matter what person B does, no matter what, your job is to be completely bored, completely unsmiling, not happy. No matter what they do, is to use all of your Indonesian faculties to not be influenced by it. Now, person B, here's your job. Person B, here's your job. Your job is to look deeply into person A's eyes and smile genuinely for 7 seconds. Are you ready? Here we go. 7 seconds. Go. Time. So, how did you do? How many of you people A, how many of you smiled? You got her to smile. How many of you didn't smile? Only. So this is an example of how quickly we can infect people for good. Just a smile, right? Seems so simple. Thank you. What happens now that you're laughing? Let's talk about when life gives us a challenge. Psychologist Martin Seligman said that when we experience a challenge in our life, both humans and animals respond very much the similar way. And that is that we can give up hope and have doubts and fears. I want to tell you a story about somebody that I was working with in 2008. I don't know what the economy was like in Indonesia in 2008, but in the United States, we had one of the biggest recessions since the Great Depression. Many people, millions of people lost their homes. Almost 10 million people. That's a lot of people that because they couldn't make their payments. Well, one of the people that worked with me, I was working for a leadership training development company. One of the people that worked for me was complaining to me about the fact that he was going to lose his home. He said, President Obama is not doing enough, that a long time ago, right? He's not doing enough to help people in my situation. And I said, really? Did President force you to buy the home? He had stopped making payments when the value of his home was less than what he owed. A lot of the values of homes dropped. And so people saw that there were these programs and they wanted to take advantage of it. And it didn't happen fast enough, and so it was causing a problem. But instead of thinking about how he could solve the problem and be creative, he was giving away his power by blaming and deflecting. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but I want you to stick with me as I talk about that. There are things in our lives, and you've heard, actually I love Cherry's example of the balls going down and the valleys. Do you remember that? There are examples that hardships help us to be a catalyst for change. I know Luann, for example, worked for a company called Hewlett-Packard. Do you know when Hewlett-Packard was founded? During the Great Depression, with another company called Texas Instruments. That was a company that was a technology company that came out of this hardship. So many great things can happen. Well, I was working for that same leadership company that I was talking about my coworker. And I started working there. It was hard. I didn't have a job for a while, and I finally got a job when I was working there, and that recession hit, and they hired me to do organizational development training. But guess what the first things that companies cut when there's a recession? Outside training. Our revenues cut in half overnight. And so they came to me and said, we need you to sell. And now I was going to sell 100% commission during one of the worst recessions for a product that nobody wanted to buy. Would that be a good job? It's not a good time to go find another job. But I approached it differently than the workers that were there. I had success, and eventually they promoted me to be the CEO of that company after 5 years. And I don't tell you that to brag. I was the 4th CEO in 5 years. They had lots of problems. But they hired me to turn around the financial challenges that they were having. And I had these ideas, and I was working to make those changes. And after almost 2 years, the owner of the company decided they were going to go back to doing things the way they did 20 years ago, and they fired me. Now that seemed like that was very stressful, right? I mean, I had just fought for 7.5 years for this company, given them my all. Little did I know that my wife was praying for that to happen. She was praying that I would, because I was loyal to that company and it was eating me inside. I wasn't as happy. I didn't have that calling like I want you to have. I had a job. I loved what I did, but there was some challenges there. And when I left, I felt this weight just leave. And everything that I was trying to teach that company to do, I did for my company. And we have been together, we've been partnering ever since then. That's in 2015. And we are just having a blast, having so much fun helping people all around the world. So hardship can be a catalyst for change. There are people who have many challenges. They have diseases or they have heart attacks. My father had a stroke at my age, and that enabled him to do things that, study and learn and do things he hadn't done before. We can transmogrify when we have those difficulties and those hardships. However, on the other hand, if we decide that we're going to take non-responsibility and start to blame, we give away our power to be happy and engaged in the work that we do. During that recession, it ended in 2012, and in the United States they did a study, and they talked about kind of middle-income people who were struggling financially, and they asked them, why do you think you're struggling financially? And here's what they said. 62% blamed Congress, which is our government. 54 blamed the banks, 47% corporations. George Bush was not even president for 4 years when they took this, and they were still blaming him. Foreign competition, they were blaming you. They blamed President Obama. Only 8% blamed themselves. Is that ownership? When we don't feel the pain of bad decisions, we choose not to change. We prolong sometimes our bad behavior, but when we experience the consequences of our behavior, we are able to change. But when we blame, we give that power away. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to do a little exercise. I need for every one of you to raise your pointer finger in the air. Pointer finger in the air. Okay? Everybody, even you in the back who think we're not, I see you back there. Pointer finger in the air. And I want you to point at the most responsible person at your table. The most responsible person at your table. Okay, if you have the most fingers pointing at you, stand up. I need you to stand up if you have the most fingers pointing at you. Go ahead. It's okay to move quickly. It's okay to stand up. I need some volunteers. Thank you, Luann. Anybody else? Come on, I need like 16 of you, okay? Come up here. Come on. Come up here. Come up here. These are the responsible people. I need more. Come on. I need more of you. No, you're not going to be alone. Come on. I need like 8 more. Come up. Where are my responsible people? Okay, keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. How many we got here? Okay. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. Come on up. 13, 14. Okay, that's good. Perfect. All right, so come up on the stage. Isn't that fun? Let's go on the stage together. Come on up here. Come on up. Okay. So we're going to manage a project together. These are all the most responsible project managers. So I need about 7 of you to be right here next to me like this, okay? Shoulder to shoulder. Just fill, okay, 7 of you. And then the rest of you, I need you to face them. So half of you face this group like you're going to shake their hands. Okay, come over here. Perfect. Come down, come down. Come down like you're going to shake each other's hands. No, yeah, stay back. Okay, so right here, and you right here. Okay, so I need you to be as tight, shoulder to shoulder. You might have to actually touch another human being. I'm sorry about that, if that makes you uncomfortable. Okay, so I am the project owner, okay? I know some of you have your backs to them, but I'm the project owner. And I have a project for you to manage, okay? It's very simple. You have to follow all the rules. Number 1, I need you to take your hands, palms down, about waist height, okay? And then you're going to take these 3 fingers and you're going to wrap your thumb around them and you're going to keep your pointer finger out, all right? And so now what we're going to do is we are going to alternate our hands kind of like a zipper, your fingers, okay? You got that? Just like a zipper. Yeah, okay? So now, yeah, just perfect. Get close enough so everybody has their hands kind of like a zipper. And you want it to start low. You want to start low by your waists, okay? So make sure, now here's the deal. I'm going to put a stick on your fingers, okay? And you have one job, to put the stick on the ground together. But here's the trick. Here's the trick. You must keep your finger in touch with the stick at all times. You cannot pull it out. You cannot push it down. You cannot go up like this. You have to keep your hands like this and together work to put the stick on the ground. Any questions about the process? I see you have questions, Luann. What's your question? No question? Yes. What's your question? That's irrelevant. Are you who leads projects? Okay, we figure that out. All right, here we go. You ready? Okay, here we go. Here is the stick. Okay, keep your fingers on that. Get a little closer if you need to. I'm asking you to put the stick on the ground. Keep your fingers in touch. If you break the rules, you have to start again. You have to keep your finger. No, you must keep your fingers in touch with the stick. Put your fingers on the stick. Siti, if you don't have your fingers on the stick, I'll make you do it again. Stephen, I saw you cheating. We'll start again if you do that. You can cheer them on, you guys. Come on. Come on, cheer them on. They're the ones who are brave enough to come up here. You okay? Can I get a microphone up here? Keep your fingers, keep your palms flat, like this. You may not do that. That's cheating. Way to be creative, though.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
If you can't, that's fine. Don't do it if you can't. Step out. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, don't. It's okay. Keep the rest of you keep going. I don't want to hurt her hips.
Let's go. 1, 2. Lower, lower, lower. Lower, back, lower. Lower, lower, lower. 1, 2, lower.
Turn your palms down. Turn your palms down.
1, 2, lower, please. 1, 2, lower. Let's go.
So. Keep going. Keep going. You got it. Keep going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Chair. Grab me a chair. Grab me a chair.
1, 2, 3, 2 rows. 1, 2, 3, 2 rows. 1, 1, 2, 3, no. 1, 2, 3, no. 1, 2, 3, no. 1, 2, 3.
Come on. You're almost there. I only have 45 more minutes.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2,
Stephen, no cheating. You want to start again, do you? Stephen, put your hands like this. Palms down.
okay, let's go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3. Let's go. We can make it. 1, 2, 3.
This is a difficult mega project. Right? Give them a hand. Keep giving them a hand. Two, three, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Almost there.
1, 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3, down. Come on, cheer them on. 2, 3, down. 1, 2, 3.
Down. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2, 3. Down.
And Luann, don't hurt your back.
3. Down.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2, 3. Down.
Keep going. You're almost there. Just get it down to the ground and then pull your fingers out. Come on, you're almost there. Look how close they are, you guys. Come on, cheer, keep cheering. Come on. Come on, you're almost there. So close, so close.
Down. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1, 2, 3. Down. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Down. 1,
Come on, here we go.
down. 1,
Okay, now pull your fingers out.
1, 2, 3. Down.
Okay, one, pull your fingers out.
1,
Pull them out. You're there. Go, pull them out. Pull your fingers out. Pull your fingers out. You're done. Yes, put it. Stay here. Give them a hand. Wow. Okay, come over here. I want to talk to you. Everybody face the audience. Face the audience for just a second. Okay? Yes, well done. I love the celebration. Face the audience, okay? All right. So here's what I want to ask you. What did you notice? Where did your attention go when the stick started to go up instead of down? Who wants to share? Where did your attention go when the stick started going up instead of down? Go ahead.
You start to look around to see if anybody was pushing it up.
You started to point at somebody else? What else did you notice? Where did your thoughts go? What?
Was breathing.
You were breathing?
No, I was just trying to breathe, like, because there was a tension.
So-
I
so
think
there
the
was tension.
was driving us up, and then I think when we started relaxing and just sort of flowing,
Yeah.
then it sort of.
What was causing the tension?
We are under pressure. We are under pressure.
Under
on to
pressure,
get-
do you have any pressure as a project manager?
well, because we are under pressure to get the job done according to your policy.
Right.
Yes.
I didn't give you a time constraint, I should have.
Not time constraint, but you give a challenge.
I gave you a challenge,
Yeah.
yes. Anybody else, what did you experience?
Because nobody leads, so everybody try to move by themselves instead of going down, then go increase. So
In the beginning,
in the beginning-
everybody was talking. How many of you have been on projects like that? Everybody's trying to be in charge. Everybody has an idea, and there was a lot of finger pointing, wasn't there? How many of you were sabotaging the project? Who was sabotaging the project? You? Was anybody actively pushing it up? No. But how many of you were actually blamed for pushing it up? Were you blamed? You were blamed.
No, maybe because one of your requirements are that we have to stick our fingers to the stick, right? And that made us unintentionally going up, make
Okay.
the stick going up.
Okay. But I want to know how many of you felt like you were being blamed for going up? Did any of you raise your hand if you thought somebody was blaming you? They were blaming you, Steve. They were blaming you. How does that feel when you're being blamed and you weren't being a saboteur,
Simply put, bloody horrible.
right? What did it feel like?
Actually, I look at the other person like, why some of the people blaming me, but I saw like almost everyone blaming me. So okay, this is my hand.
I'm asking the number 2, you have to be lower. But Mbak in front of me said, you are also higher. So when I said to other, I'm lose my focus and then I'm also going up.
So I want you to think about how this shows up in your projects. What happens when things don't go the way you expect them to go? Do you take ownership, or do we start to point our fingers at somebody else? You take ownership. But here,
blaming. We're just trying to give the direction. We actually not blaming because we focus on getting the goal completed. So we observe everyone here doing the same things like we do.
go ahead. What were you going to say?
So if the leadership should take the blame. So it's meaning if there is something wrong on how to coach people to get leads, it's meaning the leadership responsible to the blame, not the other.
Ah, very good. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I refer to Rachi matrix, responsibility, accountability, consulted and informed, that all of us have to be ownership, but there are two layers of ownership. The higher level is accountable, and then the second is responsible. All of us here as we have a responsibility, ownership, responsibility level, but should be one of the one who lead accountable. Anything falls should be responsibility of the accountability. So only in the matrix, only one should be accountable. No, cannot two accountable. One accountable, main responsible.
So that's interesting because in the beginning, everybody wanted to be accountable because this is you all taking charge. Anybody else want to say anything before you go? Oh, so sorry.
I just realized that when we going to start to lower the stick, because everybody don't know the responsibility of each other. So when I see and I notice that the stick is getting higher, and then I start to realize that who makes this stick getting higher?
Do you know what it is?
And I saw that in the middle of the
It's
row.
there in the middle small.
Middle. I said middle getting lower. Middle getting lower. I said middle getting lower. Something like that, because in the first place, we don't know who is going to take this place actually. The accountable who, we don't know. The project is just started, and then we realized that we need to make this stick lower, but we noticed that there is a stick that's getting higher. And then I realized, what? Something that
Well done. Give them a hand one more time. Take your seats, everybody. Thank you so much. Go ahead and take your seats. We'll get the stick out of the way. So do you want to know why the stick went up and not down? It's made out of helium. Actually, the physics are the pressure from your fingers are greater than the gravity on the stick, and so you have to be very intentional. And what happened was when you started chanting and getting everybody focused on just 1, 2, 3, that got everybody focused and was very, very helpful. Well done. It's a difficult project to manage. So where do we start? I'm going to share with you, as I promised, 5 steps to taking greater ownership. And these 5 are owning your values. We have some core values that we've got to manage. We have to own your outcomes regardless of what's going on around you. This is the law of the harvest. You reap what you sow. Number 3, very similar to owning your outcomes, but I want you to think about failures as an opportunity to learn and to grow. And so own them. When you make a mistake, learn from that and move forward. Own your development. Congratulations for being here. Project management is so fantastic at developing people. And that's one of the reasons that they're growing so quickly around the world. However, you are the ones that are investing in yourself. And so we'll talk about the importance of your own development. And finally, own your thoughts. How you think, what you watch, what you listen to. And I'll share with you how powerful those thoughts are in creating that ownership mentality. Okay, so let's start with number 1. I have a value, and it's respect. And I want you to think about something that drives you crazy, that makes you mad, that just really frustrates you. Can you think of something? I'll tell you what frustrates me. What frustrates me is when I go mountain biking or hiking, when people who have dogs, and you know the dogs sometimes mess on the trail and they have those little plastic bags and they pick it up and then they leave it on the trail like some dog poo fairy is going to pick it up for them. That really gets me frustrated. How many of you have something that makes you frustrated? I'm asking you this for a very specific reason. Because if there's something that makes you frustrated, look at this. Some of these have been on the trail for a year. and nobody picked them up, so I have to go pick them up. This is all over the place when I mountain bike, when I hike, these little bags of poo. Just crazy. It's frustrating to me. Why is that of value? Because if I find what I'm frustrated about, I can find the opposite of that. What is the opposite of if I feel like that is low? It's irresponsible. It's lack of caring. It's lack of consideration for others. What do I care about? I care about respect. I care about people caring about other people and about nature and caring, making sure that they're not being selfish. Are like our guiding principles. They are things that cause us to behave in ways that are in alignment with taking ownership. So here's what I want you to do. You have that partner, person A and person B. I need you to partner up with that person one more time, okay? And here's what I want you to do. Person A, I want you to tell person B what drives you crazy, what makes you angry. And person B, your job is to help them identify what the opposite of that is. Can you do that? Go ahead, do that now really quickly. You gonna partner with somebody? It's okay to move quickly. All right, what drives you crazy? What drives you crazy? What makes you frustrated? Yeah, do you know? What makes you angry? What? Yeah. You can't complete the task. So what's important to you? No, you don't need to speak on the phone. This is just us. So what's important to you is completing the task and getting your work done. And when people don't do that, that's so dedication and effort is important to you. It's a value, right? That make sense? Okay. Okay, switch. Person B. Tell person A what drives you crazy. Potholes. So tell me, what is it about potholes that drives you crazy? So what is it that you want instead of that? What would be the opposite of that? And what does it take to have smooth roads? So people that care about the city and the environment, yes? So you want people to be considerate and caring about their community, and yeah, does that make sense? That's what you value. Okay, how many of you were able to find something that was a core value? How many of you know the difference between a core value and an aspirational value? Aspirational is something that we strive to achieve that we don't have, but core, the reason why I ask you to find something that you hate or you're frustrated or angry about is because if you find the opposite, that's something that's really important to you. Okay? So here's the poo situation. I found this on the internet. This is the solution to people who have dogs and they just take a little helium and then they float those bags away and they don't have to worry about it anymore. Isn't that a good idea? Okay, so I need your attention. So that's one way to find a core value. There's many, many, many others. But maybe, if you're like me, something that's important to you is your family. So my family is important to me. I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren. Thank you. My wife's back there. She did all the hard work. But it's not just the family. It's the time that we spend together. It's having fun. My wife and I, we travel together all the time. Why? Because we want to be together. This is what we choose to do. That's important to us. Core values guide how we behave, the decisions that we make. And it really guides how you behave. So let me give you an example. Here's my calendar. This is an example of my calendar. I'm busy. But I want you to notice there's few things on my calendar. There are times that I have a date with my wife, family scripture study, time for church, and then time for exercise, mountain biking, hiking. Why is it on my calendar? Because if something is important to you, if you value something, and you don't make time for it, is that really a core value after all? If you say that your faith is important to you, do you go to mosque or to synagogue or to church? Do you read your sacred texts? Or do you say, I'm too busy? If you say your family is important to you, or staying in shape, or exercising, or eating healthy is important to you, do you make time to do those things? Because if you don't, they're not really a core value, are they? So a big part of taking ownership is to own the values that you have, because that informs your decisions and your behavior so that you can behave in ways that are in alignment with the results that you want to create in your life. And when you do that, you look back at your days, your weeks, and your months, and you realize that you have not allowed the trivial interferences to take over your life, but you have made time for the things that are most important for you. It's hard. I struggle with it still. Next, own your outcomes. This is the law of the harvest. How many of you have ever heard of the 90-10 principle? What's the 90-10 principle? Not the 80-20, that's the Pareto principle. The 90-10. The 90-10 principle says 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you respond to the 10% that happens to you. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're having breakfast, and your daughter spills the orange juice or coffee or tea or whatever you're drinking on your trousers, on your sarong, on your skirt. And immediately you respond with, how can you be so clumsy? Now I'm going to be late for work. And if you have a 12-year-old daughter that does that, what is she doing? She's crying. 12-year-old daughters wear mascara, yes? So now her mascara is running, and she has to go up and reapply her mascara, and she's going to now miss the school bus. And you're up changing your trousers, you come back down, and your wife or your spouse or whoever says, you got to take your daughter to school because this is your fault. So you're now late, and so you're driving faster than you should, and you get pulled over by a police officer for going too fast on your scooter or in your car. Then you get to the school, and your daughter jumps out, and she doesn't even say goodbye. You get to work, and you realize that you forgot your laptop. You're having a bad day, aren't you? You want to forget this whole day, but you get home, and when you get home, you're still having an argument with your significant other. Why did you have a bad day? I have a quiz. Was it the orange juice's fault? Was it the police officer's fault? Was it your daughter's fault? Or was it your fault? It's your fault. Not the orange juice? Yeah. Let's do this one more time. Your daughter spills orange juice on you. Instead of responding immediately, you take a second and you're like, and your daughter, she says, oh, Daddy, I'm so sorry. You're like, it's okay, sweetheart. I can change. So you go upstairs to change, and you come back just in time to say goodbye to your daughter as she goes on the school bus. What's the difference in the day? How you choose to respond to whatever happens to you in your life. Now, some of you are saying, that's such a basic example. Life is much more complex than that. You're right. How many of you know people that have suffered terrible diseases and illnesses? So my mother, I want to share, isn't she beautiful? Mom was from Canada. At age 38, she had breast cancer and had a mastectomy. They removed her breast. 10 years later, at age 48, she came home. My parents were divorced. She came home and she took my brother and my two sisters and I, and she said, doctors give me 6 months to live. I now have bone cancer. And she said, but we're going to live our life. She was a school teacher. Her students absolutely loved her. How many English students come to their middle school or high school teacher's house to talk to their teacher? They would come to Mrs. Horn. You did? You're a teacher that loves students. You went to your teacher. Yeah. They loved Mrs. Horn. And she said, to me, you're going to go to college, you're going to go serve a mission. We're going to live our life like this didn't happen. And she did everything she could to fight that. She didn't choose the cancer. right? That was the 10% of things that she had no control over in her life. But she chose her response, and she ended up living 2.5 years. Such an inspiration to me. It's not about the cancer, it's about the example that she set for choosing to live regardless of life circumstances. Now, isn't she lovely? That's a wig. She lost all her hair, and this is very close before she passed away. In life, there's a lot of what we call SH. Who knows what SH stands for in English? Something happens, exactly. Something happens. Whatever it is, something happens. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad. But when the orange juice spills or we have a negative thing happen with our project and we immediately respond, we give away our power. The little line is our response. It's the power that we have to change our circumstances. It's gone because we have just, some people say, well, you know, are you Irish or are you Scottish? You're Scottish. I have a bad temper because I'm Scottish. Right? I'm German. My dad's German. So I have this German. Sorry, anybody German? I have this tough response. Some people, well, I'm Spanish. That's Latino, Latina. That's just how we are. So they're blaming their dead ancestors for their bad behavior. How many of you know people like that? That is total non-responsibility or non-ownership. But we have all these excuses for why we behave poorly. The ownership factor is about instead realizing that when we blame, we give away our power. I want you to think about in your life where you do this. Where do you blame? I don't want you to tell me. I want you to think about it yourself. Be honest. How many of you have ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Viktor Frankl? Luann, anybody heard of Viktor Frankl? So he was a Jewish psychiatrist in Austria. And during World War II, his whole family was taken to a concentration camp and they were murdered, except for him. They took everything from him. His clothes, his practice, his loved ones, his property. What more could you do to someone to destroy their life? And in that experience and in those moments, he realized that no matter what anyone who was holding him captive did to him, they couldn't change one thing. Anybody know what that was? Luann, what was it? His will to live, how he chose to think, his thoughts. They couldn't control that. And he became an inspiration to the other prisoners and to even his captors. Here's what he said. I love this saying. He says, between stimulus, something happens, and our response, there's a space. Even if it's 0.75 milliseconds, there's a space, isn't there? And it's in that space that our freedom lies to choose our response. And that's where our growth and our freedom lies. Isn't that powerful? So here's the ownership factor. When something happens, we have to delay our response. And this is hard for me. I don't know if it's hard for you, but when we delay our response, we become conscious of our choices. We have more passion and enthusiasm, and the ability to change our outcomes is multiplied. It grows, and so our power expands, and we begin to be able to create our own reality. So many people say, well, I can't do that because the government doesn't allow me. Or I can't do that because I wasn't born in the right, all those things that we talked about earlier, all the conditions are against you. That's abdicating your power. There are ways for you to be able to achieve the goals that you want to have. This is how this works. When something happens to us, we have these thoughts about whatever it is, good or bad. It's the self-talk that we have. That self-talk leads to attitudes and feelings, which leads to our actions and behaviors, which leads to what? Our outcomes. Do you believe that? You're in control of that. I'm in control of that. We're not in control of everything that happens to us. We're in control of our response to what happens to us in our life. This is very Newtonian in physics, right? It's a cause and effect. It's the law of the harvest. We reap what we sow. And sometimes when we own our outcomes, even for the things that go wrong, even if something goes wrong on the project, when you take ownership for it, it's amazing what opportunities will come your way. Here's one more saying by Viktor Frankl. I love this. The last of the human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, the ability to choose one's own way. I think that's powerful. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I know you don't have the FBI here in Indonesia. Instead, you have the BIN, right? The BIN. You remember the party we had last night? How many of you were there dancing last night? Come on, Luann was dancing, I was dancing, you were dancing. So let's pretend that a BIN officer was off duty, came into the party with us. Would that have been good? Let's say he had his firearm, his gun. But he's still off duty. But he started getting crazy, having a good time. Let's say that he does a backflip because the music was so awesome and the gun fell out. And when it hit the ground, it went off and shot you in the leg. Isn't that a terrible scenario? I want you to turn to person A at your table. Go ahead, just at your table. I want you to answer the following question. Are you unlucky or lucky in this circumstance? Go ahead. Are you lucky or unlucky in this circumstance? You just got shot in the leg by the BIN officer, accidentally. Okay? How many of you said unlucky? Raise your hand if you said you're unlucky. Okay, why are you unlucky? Why are you unlucky? Because you got shot in the leg, right? Who else said you're unlucky? Anybody? How many of you said lucky? Why are you lucky? Oh, it goes viral and you become famous. That's great. Hopefully somebody was on videoing it. Anybody else? Why are you lucky? Because she's not getting shot in the heart. Very good. But what if you're a dancer and you got shot in the leg? That'd be unlucky. Typically, 75% of people say it's unlucky, but you are special people, aren't you? I love that about you. I love that about you. But I want you to consider where you can take, remember, it's about aiming higher. Where can you take greater responsibility? Some of you are not being responsible right now because you're focused elsewhere, or you're surfing the net for somebody getting shot. This, by the way, actually happened in the United States. An FBI officer went into a bar, started dancing, did a backflip, his gun fell out and shot somebody in the leg. You want to know the rest of the story? The bar gave that person drinks for life. They're very happy. How many of you seen the movie Night and Day? Anybody see that movie Night and Day with Tom Cruise? I can't show the video because I don't have the copyright to do it, but there's a story in there exactly what you were saying. He gets shot and she's like, "You shot Rodney!" He's like, "He'll probably get a promotion." I wish I could show it, but okay. We're running out of time. Let's get going. Own your failures. I haven't always made great decisions. I've made many mistakes in my life. I started a business once that didn't turn out well, failed, filed bankruptcy, lost a home. I have failed tests. I wanted to take the foreign service exam. I failed that. There's so many times that I've been fired from jobs before. It's interesting, as a speaker, when I get announced, they talk about all my credentials and all my successes, but they never talk about my failures. Isn't that interesting? Do you remember me talking about the person who I worked with, and I was telling him to stop blaming the government about losing his home? You thought that was mean, didn't you? I lost a home before that. It wasn't the government's fault. It wasn't the business's fault. It wasn't my wife's fault. It was my fault. And when we take ownership for the things that the the choices that we make in our life, we are much more motivated to make changes, to get better outcomes for the results that we want to have. When we can no longer change the situation, sometimes we just can't change that 10% of our lives, but we can change ourselves in all circumstances. So many people we can learn from that were failures. Do you want to learn from a couple of failures? Here's a couple of failures. Walt Disney was fired for not being creative enough. Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team in high school because he wasn't good enough. He said, "I failed over and over again. That's why I'm great." The Beatles were told by a record album that guitar groups are on the way out. They wouldn't have any success. How many of you know who Queen is? Do you know the song Bohemian Rhapsody? What did the agent say about Bohemian Rhapsody? No one will ever buy that or listen. It's one of the most popular songs in all of history. You can learn a lot from failures like these. And sometimes those failures can be powerful in helping us learn. Next, earn your development. I'm sure you don't know who this is, but this is somebody that's a great example. His name is John Wooden. He was in his 50s when he started coaching basketball at UCLA. In 12 years, he won 10 championships. It's never been duplicated. And I love what he said. There are so many people that in life, they think they know it all because they have so much experience. And he said, it's what you learn after you know it all that counts. We're never too old to learn. I know Luann is constantly learning. She works in academia. She's a bright person. But do you feel like you're still continuing to learn and to grow? It never stops, does it, until we die? This is one more saying by Alvin Toffler, which I love. The illiterate of the future are not those who can't read or write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. I love that PMI is reinventing themselves. They're trying to relearn how to do things better, to be more simple, to be more effective. That's what we have to do in our careers and in our lives, is we have to constantly be changing and growing with the new times. Did you know that disruption since 2019, when it was 4%, geopolitical, economic, weather, all the different types of disruption we can have. You use the word VUCA all the time, right? What percentage, what do you think disruption is right now in our world? What percent? From 4% in 2019. 200%, including things like AI, have totally changed the landscape. We must constantly be learning and growing and changing, or we will become old. How teachable are you? Do you ever tell somebody something that you know and they say, I know? And you tell somebody else, oh, I know that, I know that. Have you ever said that? I know that. Stop saying that. Because every time you say that, people are going to stop telling you something, and you're going to, that's very dangerous. If somebody gives you a gift for a holiday, do you guys give gifts on holidays here? When do you give gifts? Your birthday? And if somebody gives you the ugliest shirt or socks, what do you say when they give you that ugly thing? I will never wear that in my life. That is the worst thing. I can't believe you gave that to me. Would you tell them that? What would you say? Thank you. If somebody tells you something that you already know, what should you say? Thank you. Because you want to learn. Even if everything that I've told you, you already know, say thank you. You will continue to be teachable. All right, we're running out of time. Oh, I love this last one. This is perfect. Own your thoughts. Be so careful about what you read, about what you watch, and what you listen to. Our thoughts, and I love this saying by one of the leaders of the church that I go to. There it is. Do you believe that? Your thoughts are the architect of your destiny. A few years after Einstein developed the theory of relativity, anybody know what that's all about? E equals mc squared. What is that? Energy can be turned into matter, and matter can be turned into energy. Is that right? I mean, just to simplify. 10 years after Einstein, two Dutch physicists, Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, were studying subatomic particles. And what they noticed was the subatomic particles behaved in very strange ways. they started to respond in ways that they expected them to. I don't know what happens, but when they would observe the subatomic particles, they would show up where they expected them to. It became known as the Heisenberg principle or the expectancy theory. How many of you have ever heard of that before? They won a Nobel Prize for their work. This theory is implied in psychology. And basically what happens is that when you observe test takers in psychology, you change the outcomes. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It's called the Pygmalion effect. So one of the most famous studies ever done by Robert Rosenthal, psychologist in the 1960s, they took a school of elementary students and they gave them all intelligence tests, all of them. And they found out that all the students were average in IQ except for John, James, Janet, and Jessica, who had above average intelligence. And they told the teachers, they said, you cannot treat John, James, Janet, and Jessica any different than everybody else. You have to treat them all the same. And they watched them, the testers, the psychologists, they watched them for an entire year. And at the end of the year, they surveyed everybody again. And guess what they found? All the students were average in IQ except for John, James, Janet, and Jessica. Now, what they didn't tell the teachers were that John, James, Janet, and Jessica were average IQ just like everybody else. What happened? They didn't talk to them differently. They didn't treat them differently. What did they do? They thought about them differently. And just the thought that they were smarter than the other kids somehow impacted them to increase their IQ. I don't understand that. Do you? Do you believe that thoughts are things? The universe is made up of what? Atoms, which are made up of what? Energy. Would you agree? Guess what our thoughts are? Energy. Is the universe made of thought? Thought or energy and matter can be transferred into each other. Our thoughts are very, very powerful. Thoughts are things. What you think about, you bring about. So before I wrap up, we have just about 5 minutes left, 5.5 minutes. I'd love for you to take a moment, give me feedback. I'd love to learn. I'd like to know if you liked what I've had to share with you. In addition to that, if you do that, you can have access to all the articles I've written about taking ownership and other things on my website. It's all, you can have it. I'm giving it away. I'd appreciate it if you would just take a minute and do that. And as we're wrapping up, I want to tell you another story. Yale researcher Ellen Langer and psychologist, hold on, I got it backwards. Yale researcher Ali Crum and psychologist Ellen Langer, they did an interesting study. We've been served by a great hotel staff today for food in our hotel. How many of you think we've been cared for greatly by this staff? Yeah, give them a hand, will you? They are fantastic. What they did is they studied the hospitality or the house cleaning staffs at 7 different hotels. And they took these staffs at these hotels and they split them into 2 groups. The first group, they told them, the work that you're doing is the equivalent of having a workout, and it's like exercising. And the second group, they gave them no such good news. And for 7 weeks, they let them go do their job, and they came back and they interviewed and they measured the difference between the 2 groups. The first group that was told that their job was like a workout, it was healthy for them, lost weight. They lowered their cholesterol. The other group had no such good news. What was different? Literally how they thought about their jobs. So, here's my question to you. Do you have a job, a career? And I know that's what the video says, a career, but I want you to take it to another level. Or a calling. You get to choose. I'd love to take a few questions. We have a few minutes, and I'll tell you one more story as we leave. Anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes, sir. Can we get a microphone over there? No? You got a microphone? I'll get it. Oh, look, they gave me wipes so I can wipe my sweat off. So nice. Thank you, Denny. What's up? Yeah, you're good.
Hi, Spencer.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? My
Okay.
back's a little tight right now.
Yeah, thank you for your energetic session and very insightful presentation. I have a question.
Yes.
How to make a team 100% ownership for the result? Maybe you can share from your experience.
How do you take 100%
Yeah,
ownership?
team become ownership. Sometimes they just doing as it is. Yeah, I mean.
So one of the first things you have to do is you have to self-assess. We didn't take enough time for you to really assess where you can take greater ownership. You know, we all have strengths, right? The problem is that the strengths are not our problem. The weaknesses that is what we have to sometimes work on. But if we work too much on our weaknesses, that can overcome us. So we have to be very laser focused. What is one thing that we can get better at a time? Because if we try to get better at everything, we can overwhelm ourselves and give up, right? So find one area that you can take greater ownership in. Just start with that. It's not going to be 100% right away. If you're at 30% ownership, just get to 35. That's all I want. Just get 35% ownership. When you get to 35, get to 37. It might take you time. That's okay. As long as you're progressing and growing and learning, that's all I want. It's hard. Listen, I teach this, and I'm still working to take greater ownership. Right, honey? She's like, yeah, don't ask me questions in front of her. Yes, you have a question right here. Go ahead. I'm not going to kiss you. You can talk.
Okay. So the question is on your project managerial experience. How do you manage work-life balance?
He says, how do you manage work-life balance? You're almost always out of balance, aren't you? When you're at work, you're not at home. When you're at home, you're not at work. So how I do that is with the calendar that I shared with you. When we don't have values, when we don't schedule our time, what happens is, how many of you have ever heard of something called, oh my gosh, I forgot, it just went out of my head. It's called, it's a law of productivity. And basically what happens is work expands to fill the time available. And sometimes we keep working because we have time or we think that's what's expected of us. But what actually can happen, have you ever gone on vacation? Have you ever gone on a vacation? How productive were you the day before your vacation? Before. How? Very productive. Why? Because you got to get everything done. You can get more done in less time. See, here's the thing. We take sometimes 2 days for something that takes us half the time. If we give ourselves less time, we become more productive. I know that's it's called Parkinson's Law. Have you ever heard of Parkinson's Law before? That's what that is. And so what I do is on my calendar, I focus on my priorities. I fill my calendar with the things that are important. In the morning, that's my time. That's when I read my scriptures. That's when I exercise. I do that always. So that because that's a value for me. That's how I create that balance. And then, listen, I'm an entrepreneur. It's overwhelming. My calendar is always full. But if I don't create space for myself, if I don't create space to plan, to think about disruption, I will always be putting out fires. You will always put out fires. The opportunity is to reduce the amount of fires that you're putting out by being more proactive with your calendar. That's one way that I recommend. That's how I do that. Okay, we're out of time. So here's my last story. In 1666, there was a great fire that burned all of London. There was an architect by the name of Christopher Wren that was responsible for building 52 churches, including St. Paul's Cathedral. And he was in charge of this. It took 42 years, I think, to build St. Paul's Cathedral. Stephen, I'm not sure. You're probably closer to about that. But as he was doing all these projects, he noticed, and I know you may have heard of this parable before. It's based on this situation, and is it true? I don't know, but it's a parable that I think is very applicable. And Christopher Wren noticed these three bricklayers. One was very hunched over, working hard. Other one was looking proud, and then a third one was just ecstatic, excited about the work he was doing. He went to the first bricklayer and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Laying bricks so that I can feed my family." And he was just grinding, and he was not excited about what he was doing because it was a job to him. The second one, he went over to the second bricklayer and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm building a wall." He had a career, he was responsible, he cared about the work, and he was focused on that. And he went to the last one who was excited about the work. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm building a cathedral to the Almighty." He had a calling as a bricklayer. It's how you view the work that you have that makes all the difference. Take ownership for your outcomes and results. It's really about connecting our thoughts to our actions and our actions to our results. And here are the 5 steps. Get clear on what your core values are. Own your outcomes no matter what. That's the law of the harvest. Even your failures. Learn from them. Grow forward. Invest in yourself. Be careful about your thoughts because they create your outcomes. Friends, I'm so grateful that you allowed me to come back for the 3rd year. I am humbled by that. I really love you. You are so kind. And I wanted to raise my hand when Luann was saying humble, generous, kind. My wife and I have absolutely loved our time in Indonesia these 3 times. Thank you so much. And are you ready to take ownership for your calling as a project manager? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Spencer.
Now, Spencer Horn, please kindly join us on the stage because we would like to give a token of appreciation that will be represented by Ahmad Fuadbai as the President of PMI Indonesia chapter.
All right, Spencer already successfully delivered the closing keynotes for us. And this is our last session for CIMEX 2024, and it was closed really great by our closing keynotes. Give a round of applause. And we would like to appreciate to all participants that still have a big enthusiasm until the end of our sessions, and really appreciate that. Due to our session is already done, we have our last, but not really last.
And for all PMI certification holders, please scan the QR code that will be shown on the screen to claim your PDUs so you don't have to do it manually.